What is going on, guys? We are here finally. I hear there's something going on very soon in London. The Rlcs Season 5 World Championships. I'm extremely excited for it. People have been asking, when am I putting out my predictions? Because everyone knows I get them right all the time. Did I not call Gale Force winning through the upper finals, through the grand finals, no bracket reset? I think I did call that. I think I did. But we're going to get to it. I wanted to make sure we got the maximum amount of events done before, I did these predictions. I saw some other predictions coming out like a week after the playoffs. I was like, well, this makes no sense. We still got a month to go. So, looking at you, Johnny boy. Why'd you do it so early? What are you doing, Johnny boy? What's going on? Anyway, let's get into these bracket predictions. Now, a lot of people saying, who the hell knows what's going to happen? It's going to come down to maybe a lot of luck or just what team is in form at the time. That's kind of how this is in Rocket League at times. There are teams that I think have a better percentage chance to win and some that have a worse percentage chance to win, but there's a lot of these teams that are so close where there's a lot of like 60-40 matchups, and it's going to come down to that first day. And I want to see how everyone plays on day number 1, and that's going to change my predictions wildly throughout days 2 and day 3. And also scrims. We get the luxury of seeing, or at least hearing about the team scrims a lot throughout the 2 or so days before the tournament. So you start hearing like, oh man, watch out. Like when Northern Gaming, when they won in season number 3, before they even showed up, a lot of people were counting them out a bit because they're bringing Turbo Pulse as a sub. And then scrims happen and everyone's like, oh boy, let's not count these guys out. So things like that can happen, but let's get into it. We'll start it off. Chiefs Esports Club. So I think Chiefs actually get a little bit of an advantage here of every single World Championship that they've been in. They've always played that first match. Always. Which is pretty nice for them because not everyone gets to do that. Chiefs have played Denial, which included Corrupted G. They've played, and then they played last season versus G2. Now they get to play against Evil Geniuses, again, with Corrupted G there. Maybe Corrupted G can help out the boys a bit to get ready for the very first game. Also, Classics has a lot of experience at the World Championship as well. Chrome is the new player. We'll see how he performs. But also, one thing I want to point out is, we're going to be inside an arena this time. We've never done that before. It's always been like a theater venue. There have been minor arena-like events like NBC, Universal Open, and the X Games. Those two were more like they were kind of surrounded by the crowd, but obviously not in a big arena. So we'll see if that plays factors here. But going to this first matchup, I think everyone thinks the Chiefs will take it. I just don't know. I just don't know about the Chiefs yet. They have dominated the OCE scene, but honestly, and I'm just going to put this out there, I have heard from players, I'm not going to mention who, that actively complained about having to scrim number 2 seeds in the OCE region. Actively have complained about that because they feel like it is wasted time. So basically, the Chiefs, if you're going to go by those players, not many players, but a few. So if you're going to go by that metric, the Chiefs are just coasting. They're playing against teams that are not as strong, and they get to coast throughout their region. Now, of course, it's still impressive, 7-0, and then they go, 3 more wins in their finals where they only lost 1 game. They went, It was, if I do the math right, 10 wins, 1 loss. Because they had 3-game series, like a best of 5, best of 7, but they had a 1-game lead. So that would add up, I think. If I got the math wrong, that's all right. But at the same time, Evil Geniuses. No one ever respects a North America team that is not named Cloud9, not named Energy, or not named G2. It's as simple as that. And honestly, it's for a reason. Pretty much the big 3 destroy everyone else in that region. This happened even last season. I don't think people really respected Ghost. They did get an early win versus Mocket, which was pretty strong, but then after that, they kind of just petered off. So this one's tough to me. I feel like EG is going to make it closer than people think. And honestly, this one's tough because I feel like the Chiefs have so much pressure on them. And we've seen it every single season. Torsos does not play that well under the lights. We've seen this before. Drippy and Jake played phenomenally. They also didn't have a LAN this time for their finals, so that hurts them a bit. I think it's an upset pick. You know what? I'm going to go EG. Like, it's going to piss off the OC E region, but everyone is just saying that OC is going to easily win this, and I am not convinced just yet. I think EG can do it. One thing that happened to the Chiefs last season when they played G2, they got absolutely dominated by demolitions. And if EG can do that again, obviously this has been a long time ago. This is a really long time ago. I think EG can maybe apply that pressure. They haven't been doing that much of the season besides the early weeks. But I think they can do this. Like, CryptoG is a very talented shooter. It's going to come down to how Chrome's like feeling those nerves. And Classics, honestly, he's not had the greatest World Championship runs either. He's, what, 1-4, I believe. So none of them have good World Championship experience, but I do think that maybe playing that underdog role might actually help. I think the fan base actually might be behind Chiefs a lot more, but I'm going to give this to EG. I think for some reason EG will come out on top. And I don't know why this is, like, not blacked in, but it does say Evil Geniuses there. Maybe we'll change that here. Hold on. We'll go to colors. We'll go to black. There we go. Okay. So, I don't know why this is here. Just get rid of that. All right. So, I'm going to go EG here. I know. Like, OC is going to be mad at me. That's fine. But I'm going to go EG there. Next match, Complexity versus Tainted Minds. Now, like I said before, some players feel like the number 2 seeds coming out of OC are just not that great. And honestly, the first 2 seasons, we actually got, like, the number 2 team from OC. Like, I think last season might have been a little bit more of, like, are they the number 2 team? But it was close. Tainted Minds were the number 4 seed from OC. They barely made it out of the first round of playoffs, but they did, and then they did it again in the bracket where they were the number 4 seed. They battled back and made it. Now, this is Pale Horse Esports, 2 of the same players coming back. They had to battle back from 2 3-1 deficits, one in their first round of playoffs to advance, and then one in their lower final to even be here like, at the World Championship. So that shows a lot of mental fortitude for this team. They can battle back from 3-1s, and they did it pretty convincingly, too. They completely shut out one of the series, and then the other series, they put on a good scoring effort. So that's good and all, but they're still the number 2 seed from the OC region who has never really showed up. And this Pale Horse squad, last season when they were here, went 0-6. Only one game was a 1-goal game in any of those games. And a lot of people don't think they're even the number 2 seed coming out of OCE this time around. So I think it might just get even worse. So I'm going to go a 3-0 here for Complexity. I don't see Tainted Minds doing much here once again. Like OC, maybe eventually their 2 seeds will pop off, but with the Chiefs just absolutely dominating so much right now, it also makes you believe that the other teams in the OC region might be a little bit weaker. Or the Chiefs are just that good, which is what we'll find out. But that's what I'm going with. Next up, we'll go down here to Energy Envious, because I believe that'll be the 3rd game. Energy Envious. So this one is like my most interesting matchup, I think, of these first 2 rounds, because I'll count the upper quarters as well, the entire thing. I cannot put my money on Energy until I see them perform at a World Championship at this point. Their one World Championship where they did perform, they did win their first 2 rounds, but then they lost a very close series in their upper final, so they could have made it to the grand finals. But then they got absolutely decimated in the lower final. Every other World Championship, they've won 1 game. They are 3-8 at the World Championships. You need 4 wins to win a World Championship. They've been here 4 times, and they don't have the minimum number of wins to win a World Championship. So I am just not sure what we're going to get from them. So I actually have more faith maybe in Justin than some of the other guys, because Justin at the regional championships was the best player on the team. It seems like every high pressure situation, he's getting better and better. Now, I'm still not completely sold, obviously, because when you go to a LAN, and it's his very first LAN, it's going to be insane. The pressure is going to be absolutely insane. It's never easy to play your first LAN, even if it's a small one. So this could be very tough for them. it might help them because maybe Justin's like, whatever. Like, this is the first time I'm here, so I don't know, like, any different from any of the other lands, but obviously it's a bigger venue, more fans. I'm worried for Energy because on the other side, you have Envious, who, sure, they're not the best team in Europe, but they have World Championship experience and successful World Championship runs. I'll put it this way. Remco, he's been to 3 World Championships. He's never finished worse than 3rd. While Energy, they've been to 4, and their best finish was 3rd. So Remco has 2 third-place finishes and a first-place finish, obviously. Devo also has a first-place finish. He's been to 2 World Championships, and his other one was a Grand Finals appearance where they lost. So he's at a first and a second. Ignite hasn't been here before. At least he has some land experience, which I think might help him a little bit more than Justin at the Gfinity Elite Series, where he's been to the playoffs all 3 times. So that does help. I think Envy can come away with this win, and I'm being a little bit, probably like going for the upset picks a little bit more, but in the very first round, like, Energy on paper are probably the better team. Like, they're definitely the better team. But the nerves seem to always play a factor. Like, last season, Garrett missed 2 very easy goals. One didn't matter because Fireburner bailed him out. And then the second one was tie game 5 versus Method. A series they should have won. They were playing better than Method, but they just could not score the goals. And I think, and again, like, they'll say it's not nerves, obviously. But it's something. It's something, like, about this live experience. Now, of course, they do have a win, like, at the X Games. That is true. A bit of a smaller thing, but they do have a win, so I'm not going to count them completely out. It's just something about the RLCS World Championships. There's just that hurdle that they have to overcome for Garrett and Fireburn. Both of them, like, once again, only 3 wins. Sure, they weren't on the same teams in Season 1 and Season 2, but they had the same exact results, 1 and 4, in those World Championships. But again, they got last place, and they made a roster move. This is exactly what happened last time, exactly 1 year ago when they got their 3rd place finish. So maybe that'll recharge them, and Justin will bring them to the promised, at least, top 3. I just don't know. And I think this is a really tough first matchup for him. To be fair, any European team is really tough. But, like, if Energy wins this, and wins it convincingly, watch out. They can easily run this bracket. Easily. But I am very worried about the nerves and stuff. Again, Regional Championships Game 7, it came down to, like, a Fireburner mistake that seems like it would not normally happen, but it happened in a big moment, so that's what I'm a little bit worried about. But that's what I'm going to be playing with, is, like, Energy. Are they actually nervous or not? I don't know. We'll see, but I'll go with Envious here to move on 3-1. Next up, Renault Vitality. So if you don't know how to pronounce Renault, we've been joking about this all season. Just think of Rey from Star Wars if she was really drunk, and she, like, drunk four-styled Kylo Ren, and just be like, hey, Kylo Reno, and then, you know, so on and so forth. So that's one way to remember. It's Renault Vitality. That's how I remember it. Maybe it'll help you. Anyway, Renault Vitality versus Cloud9. Don't threaten the Cloud9 beast. Like, don't think that they're gonna be like this team that has been kind of struggling towards the end of the season. I do think Cloud9 is gonna reemerge here at this World Championship to show, like, hey, we're still a force. Renault Vitality, like, on the same side, they've had 2 big off-season lands. Like, after their first land experience as a team, which didn't go too well, that they finished in 7th, and honestly, they just got a free win versus an OC number 2 seed, so they didn't really do much. They came in extremely strong. Group of Death at E-League, won it, swept it 3-0. Then, unfortunately, finished 3rd. Then again at DreamHack Leipzig. They take out Gale Force Esports, now Dignitas. And yeah, I know. They take them out, which is, like, never been done before, where Gale Force gets taken out early on in a bracket stage. But then again, come in 3rd. So they're always, like, doing some type of surprising thing at a World Championship. But then they just... I'm sorry, not a World Championship, but, like, a LAN. But then they just can't finish it. They just can't ride that wave. And they're going to have to find a way to ride that wave. And I think, honestly, this season could be that wave that they ride, because Freaky playing extremely well. Pashy playing a new, like, supportive role. And Fairy Peak is always going to be good. He was probably the best player at Season 4's World Championship. And they only played 3 series. And he was just absolutely amazing. I was loving every minute watching him play. So, this match is really, really tough. But again, that they all are really tough. But for some reason, I think Cloud9 is going to reawaken here. And it is weird because it is like European home soil, but for some reason, like I think this actually helps Cloud9. Like I think last season I predicted them to lose to PSG Esports because I was afraid it's their first World Championship. They have to play a team that's warmed up, who got to play that OCE number 2 seed, and like it hurt them. They lost in 5 games. I think PSG was up 2-0. Cloud9 battled back, but PSG finished it off. I think I could be wrong. I'm just trying to play with that like off the top of my head. But Cloud9 is in a better spot now. They're like the underdogs, which is not what they should be normally. Like they were the favorites like at the last World Championship, even more than Gale Force. A lot of people predicting Cloud9 to win it all. Now the pressure's off. I think they can play a little bit more relaxed here. I'm going to give Cloud9 the win. I'm going to go a 3-2 because I think Vitality's really good. But they've been slipping up lately, you know? A lot of European teams have been slipping up lately, so I'm a little worried about that. Same with Envy. Like, Envy hasn't played all that well at all throughout this, like, mini off-season, I guess, before the World Championship, but I'm putting faith in that one. I don't know. Honestly, I think right now, we predicted 4 matches. I've probably picked the upset in 3 of the 4. It's the World Championship. Anything can happen. I don't know. This is what I'm feeling. G2 Complexity. Complexity is on a downward spiral, and usually this happens outside of an RLCS season. They usually, once they see it's RLCS, they play amazing. And then when it's the off-season, they play like crap. They started playing like crap a little bit too soon. So I think this trend continues for Complexity, and G2 is one of those teams, they've looked so good online, minus gnarly qualifiers, but before that, they take the #1 seed for North America. They look so good online. They know how to play in a live setting. Now, obviously, Complexity does too. They made it to the Grand Finals last season. But again, every other event they go to, they fail. Every single time. E-League, last in their group. DreamHack Leipzig didn't even make bracket stage. Lost to Flipside with a sub, with Jesse Pinkman. Now, he's a good player, but he is not Mystic. So, I'm worried about Complexity. Like, the thing I think is, like, their downward trend is probably going to continue. Now, again, they have that warm-up game, and I think that could easily help them, and they could take out G2, but I think G2 is probably one of those better teams to avoid that loss. Like, Cloud9 was their first World Championship. Like, G2's been here. They had a successful run last time. Like, I think G2 is prepared for this, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was an upset, but I'm going to go a 3-1 here, because I think G2 is playing so good online, and they usually play so much better at LAN, that I'm not even sure how much better they can get at LAN, but I expect it, because JNAPS usually shows up. And here's another thing. Everyone's talking about best player in the world, how it's changing. Like, everyone considered JNAPS before the season probably best player in the world, just because of his live event experience and what has been happening throughout the offseason, throughout everything. Now everyone's trying to get off that train. Guys, there hasn't been another live event yet. Don't think about changing who's the best in the world until you see them at a live event. That's where it really matters. Like, sure, everything else is online. Like, it does matter, but it doesn't matter as much as showing up when there's a live event. So, watch out for JNAPS to go ham again. So, there we go. I got G2 there, and I kind of skipped the Dignitas EG. This series is very similar to when Gale Force, when Turbo's like, oh, we get to play Ghost, we're going to smack them. This is very, very similar to that. I have a 3-0. Dignitas is really good. EG, again, is going to be riding a high, but I do think Dignitas wins this pretty easily. I think if they play the Chiefs, and if the Chiefs, like, pull out a big win, you could watch out for a potential upset. I wouldn't pick it, obviously, but there's potential there. I just don't think EG can match what Dignitas brings to the table. They are the most consistent team in Europe. Sure, they didn't win the gnarly qualifiers, but they came in second to only Flipside Tactics, who seem to be playing out of their minds. But they're the only team to make it to both. They're playing really well. Again, Ballistics didn't go that well either for their bracket stage, but I believe in Dignitas when it comes to a live setting, and I think Dignitas will easily move forward there. We'll stay with the upper bracket, and then we'll go down to the lowers in a little bit. So, next up, Dignitas versus Envy. Like, again, I think Dignitas kind of just outclasses Envy here just a bit. Now, Envy did have some success versus Dignitas before they even made the roster move throughout the offseason, but there's something about Dignitas, like, in a live setting, there's no weakness there. You have K-Dop, one of the best players in the world. If not the best, he could be the best player in the world. That's fine. You have K-Dop. You have Turbo, who shows up to every live event. I feel like he always plays exceptionally well. And then Ryan Panda is that glue that just brings them all together. And he's been playing extremely well towards the end of the season. Dignitas is just ramping on in to that World Championship run. I think Dignitas wins this. We'll go with 3-1 here versus Envy. Now, G2 and Cloud9. Now, this should be a great matchup here. It's going to be really tough because I think it depends what complexity shows up. Like, if you see a good complexity, I think that helps G2, like, if they get that win. Because that'll help them be, like, warmed up for this Cloud9 match. But these are the two most successful live teams from North America. Oh, this is tough because, like, I should predict against G2. I just, I think there's a chance there's something like that. Something awakens from Cloud9 and they kind of return to form a little bit here. But, whew, this is tough. G2 and Cloud9. I'm going to give it to G2. I feel like, again, there hasn't been much weakness from this team all season. Now, again, Cloud9 did just beat them in early qualifiers and pretty handily. But, you know, that's online. You know, all right. You know what? For the G2 fans out there, and because I kind of have to predict against G2, it's just the way it is nowadays. I'm going to go Cloud9. Why not? We're going to go Cloud9 to advance here. And honestly, it's probably because I just want to see Cloud9 versus Dignitas. It's probably it. And we're going to go with that. I honestly don't know. That match is so close. It could go either way. I'm going to go Cloud9, though. Why not? Dignitas versus Cloud9. Dignitas is really good, guys. They're really good. And now it's best of 7s. Now you got to beat Dignitas in a best of 7. Cloud9. So if they made it this far, their offense is probably clicking pretty well. But Dignitas is extremely good at controlling that midfield pressure. It's going to come down to probably like that Torment area, like around that midfield. If Squishing Gimmick, at least don't try and go too crazy, it should help. But Dignitas, they'll find openings. They always do. They always find some type of opening. I'm going to go Dignitas here. We'll go 4-2. Just make it a... we'll go 4-1. I think Dignitas is on another level, and I think Dignitas can still walk away and go to the grand finals. Now let's go to the bottom of the bracket. All right. Lower rounds. Here we go. Renault Vitality versus Chiefs. This is tough. This is tough. There's always one team that kind of disappoints at a world championship, right? There's always one. Usually it's Energy, but this time will be Renault Vitality. I'm going to go Chiefs, you know? There's one thing I want. So I don't root for any teams, really. There's one thing I want, though, like out of this entire world championship, is for an OCE team to make it to day 3. And I'm just going to advance them right now. Chiefs, like, if they can take out Renault Vitality, they should be able to take out Complexity as well and move on into day number 3. So, honestly, like, if they lose... So, like, if they lose this matchup versus EG... And that's assuming they lose to Dignitas. They probably have an easier bracket. It's tough, I guess. But probably an easier bracket to make it to day 3 with Renault Vitality and Complexity. Now, the thing is, though, OC has never beaten Europe. And they always feel like the Chiefs, the one thing that pisses me off about them is they just had an interview where they're like, we feel like we can, like, hang with almost every team at the World Championship. Fuck that, man. You can hang with every single team there. Like, I know there is something to be said about, like, don't be overconfident. But to say, like, we can probably hang with most of the teams here. No, like, you can compete with every single team here. Doesn't mean that you have to go into a match being cocky as all hell, thinking that you're going to win. But be like, you know what? Like a Dignitas. They're an amazing team, but we have a shot here. We can take them down. That's the mental game from Chiefs that I want to see. Because at E-League, same thing happened. They're like, oh, we're about to play Gale Force. Well, we're going to use this as practice because we're not going to beat them. It's like, what? No, you come into these matches like, expecting to at least have a chance to win. Like, there is a chance to win. So that's what I hope the Chiefs kind of fix in their mental game. It could just be Tarsos. I think Tarsos is always the one talking about it, but I'm not really sure. But maybe that'll help. I don't know. But they've never beaten a European team. I think they will here. I think they'll take out 2 of them. Because if they can take out Renault Vitality, I think that Complexity game is kind of easy with how Complexity has been playing lately. Again, Complexity could awaken as well. Again, all these predictions are probably completely wrong. But this is what I'm going with. I'm going to go with the Chiefs making it to day 3. To the lower quarters there. So, we got one OCE team there. Next up, Tainted Minds. I'm sorry. I do this every season. I don't give the number 2 seed from OCE a game until they show like a reason why I should. And I think this season more than any, where like they weren't the second best team in OCE and they made it here, could hurt them even more. But again, it could be the entire region has gotten so much better. It's very hard to tell. And I really hope we see some very close series from them, and some wins even would be fantastic, but I just don't see it yet. So I'm going to go with 3-0 for Energy. And this could be Energy's like this could be really good for Energy. Like, this could be that series that catapults them throughout, because they'll get extremely confident from this and move through. Next up, Energy versus EG. This is a great bracket for Energy as well. It's a very common opponent. They've played EG a bunch. They know that they can beat EG, and they will do so once again here. I think here's the start of Energy ramping up, getting that confidence, like figuring out those nerves, and they'll make it on to day 3. And now we got some good games. We got Envy versus Chiefs and G2 versus Energy. Whew. I think, okay, so the Chiefs will be coming in kind of hot, but it's a new day. Like, it'll be day 3. It'll be their first day 3. And if there's any team that knows how to do a lower bracket run, it is Envy as well. And Envy would have just lost to Dignitas. And like, even when you lose to Dignitas, like, I feel like most teams, again, feel like, hey, it's going to be a really tough game. Let's hope we can win. But you're not, like, devastated, like, if you lose to a Dignitas. Let's hope it doesn't go, like, 5 in an overtime, because that hurts a little bit more. But usually it'll probably help more than hurt when you play Dignitas in the upper to go down to the lower. Obviously, you would rather not play them at all and just make it through the upper, but it'll probably help Envy here, and I think Envy, like, with all that experience, can come out with the win. And also, like, the Chiefs are just going to breathe a sigh of relief to finally make day 3. That could just help them, because all the pressure could be gone, but it could also be something like, hey, we got to day 3, you know? Anything from here is just icing on the cake, which is a positive. It could be a negative. Who knows? It just comes down to, like, if they win it, it's a positive. If they lose it, it's a negative. It's how you spin the stories. It's just the way it is. I think Envy will take that one and move on into the final 4. Next, G2 versus NRG. It wouldn't be a bracket prediction if I didn't predict G2 to lose. And again, I think this is where Energy just ramping up throughout the bottom of the bracket, and they will advance to face off against Envy. Whew. Again, I think Energy, I think they're riding this wave. I think they're just going to keep on riding it, and they're going to be feeling it, and I think they can beat Envy as well. 3-1 here. And now comes down Cloud9 versus Energy. So this one's tough, because again, like, Energy have never been here before. Like, at this point, they have won more series than they have won in their past 4 world championships. So they're going to be feeling amazing. Like, they're going to be feeling hot coming into this. Cloud9 is going to come off that Dignitas loss. Again, I don't think when you play Dignitas, it's that much of a, like, a downer. And we kind of saw it with Method from last season, but they did lose an extremely close series, and it was insane that Method came back. Now Complexity came back and beat Cloud9 in this exact same situation. But Cloud9 versus Energy. Oh, this one's tough. This is tough. This is tough. I think Energy is going to keep riding. Just going to keep riding through. They are the better team than Cloud9 offline. Online, once again, I think Cloud9 is going to kind of awaken once again and be, like, ready for this World Championship. But just that run through the lower bracket, it usually favors the lower bracket team. I think it'll favor them here as well. Cloud9 will lose just barely to Energy 4-3. And we will get that Energy Dignitas final, or that matchup that everyone expected here in the semifinals. So the grand finals, Energy, they're going to be coming in crazy. The crowd is going to be going nuts for Dignitas, you would think. But I think, like, everyone secretly, like, down deep, love Energy. Just love that story of, like, they've been here every single time, and they've never succeeded. Never been to a grand final. They do have a third place, whatever. But finally, they're here. They made the grand final. And then Dignitas came back, hold on a minute. We have K-Dop, we have Turbo Pulsa, we have Violent Panda. Easy final here. Dignitas takes the crown. Once again, they go through the upper bracket and just smack everyone around. Just turbos. Like, he's going to pull out a white glove, smack everyone around, smack Justin right off the stage, even though there's no stage. There's like a little, well, there's probably a small stage. I'm not even honestly sure what it's going to look like. But Dignitas is going to win. Turbo is going to have so many medals on his neck that his back is going to break, and this will be his last season. He'll have to retire after the season because he won't be able to sit properly in a chair anymore. But Dignitas will come out on top. I feel pretty strong. All right, maybe not strongly. I feel like there's a 30% chance that Dignitas just wins through the upper bracket, and then there's like 70% of other reasons why they don't. And I bet a lot of them are because of this team right here of Energy, probably in this semifinal matchup. But I do think Dignitas, they just know how to play in live environments. They've been in grand finals before. Sure, they lose a lot of them as well. But I do think Dignitas is going to take this one. And Energy, they will have made incredible improvements. And again, this loss is not that bad. In the grand scheme of things, this loss, Energy versus Envious, whoever loses this, is not that bad off. Because very likely you play the number 2 seed from OCE, and then you go into your next matchup a little bit more confident versus either EG or the Chiefs. So this is not a bad place to lose at all to help your bracket chances. On the other side, if you don't, I guess it's not terrible over here either. I don't know. Like, it depends. You either get Chiefs, Complexity, or Renault. Like Renault's probably a tough matchup, but you obviously make it further into the bracket. Like, if you make upper semis, that's great, because then you're on to day 3. So that's where you want to be. But this isn't terrible. Like, if you come down here, and then you have a chance to make that lower bracket run. We saw, I believe it was Northern Gaming did this exact same run. They came through this side of the bracket. So, they played, I believe they played the 2 seed. Hold on. Let me check before I forget. Or before I say something that is wrong. Alright, let me check. I'm pretty sure this is the exact run that they made. So let me go into here. Alright. Oh no, I'm sorry. They won their... They played the number 2 seed in their first game. My apologies. That makes more sense. And they made their run from the other side of the bracket. That makes a lot more sense. But still, they beat the number 2 seed. They won a world championship. Who knows? From OC, obviously. Who knows? Maybe that's a good, positive thing. I don't know. Who knows? Anything can happen, guys, at this World Championship, and that's why it's going to be so much fun to watch. But I have Dignitas winning. I have Energy second. I have Cloud9 third. I have Envious fourth. Tied for fifth, G2 and Chiefs. That'll be the last 2 day 3 teams. Then we move down. We got Complexity and EG in seventh. And ninth, we have Renault Vitality and Tainted Minds. And that's how we finish off the bracket. This is probably all completely wrong. Honestly, probably Giblet's predictions are going to be better than mine. That's just the way it is. No one knows how to predict this. The most important thing, I think, is these day 1 games. These right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All these games. I want to see how these teams are playing. I want to see how the nerves are playing for the arena style. I want to hear this crowd. I want to see who, what teams are the crowd behind. They're probably behind like a Renault Vitality a lot, which could help them a ton. I have no idea, but these first games are just to see how these guys are playing. Now, there's still time to bounce back, as we see with Energy. I haven't bounced them back, but it's going to be interesting to see how these teams play, because it's been a long time. So this break has been longer than the entire season itself. So we've seen teams grow and we've seen teams kind of falter towards the end. Now we're seeing that in just one instant. Like, they've been playing for a month and a half. We have no idea where they ended up, and we'll find out in basically 2 series. We'll find out where exactly they are. Complete guesswork, but I got Dignitas. Who do you guys got? Let me know in my comments below on YouTube. I think we're going to post this live on Twitch first. But, so probably Twitch chat is probably like, you're wrong, all these are wrong. Yeah, you know what? They probably are. But that's what predictions are for. I want everything to be wrong. I want to be surprised about every single result. But this is all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't even know how long it is. But, yeah. Let me know who you got to win it all. And who's going to be the MVP? MVP. I'm going to go Violent Panda. I usually have some sway in the MVP voting. So I'm going to tell Violent Panda he needs to pay me a couple $1,000, and I'll make sure he gets that medal. So, no. But I think Violent Panda probably could have an insanely good series. It's either him or probably K-Dub. Like, K-Dub's been playing out of his mind. But if Violent Panda... For some reason, I want to give it to Violent Panda because he doesn't get as many, like, accolades. And it seems like when someone's not doing that well, they always step up for Dignitas when it matters most. Turbo did it in the regional championships. He had a terrible season. He shows up there. Violent Panda is always that one just being shadowed, so why not? We'll give him an MVP. But Dignitas will be your 2-time back-to-back RLCS World Champions. K-Dub gets a second. Violent Panda gives second. Turbo, 3 in a row. 3 in a row. But, yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in London on Friday. It begins at 2 p.m. local time there, I believe. Don't fact check me. I'm not actually sure, but that sounds about right. I'm doing this a little bit early. I'm doing this on Saturday night, June 2nd. So in case something changed, in case someone got a weird hand injury, like freaky or something, I don't know, then maybe these will change. But these are my final predictions. Go to Vegas, bet on Dignitas. It's in the books. All right, guys, I'm out. Bye-bye.